Hey everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. Great guest today. As a Masters competitor myself, I've kind of followed this guy pretty closely over the past, this is his second season as a pro. His name is Josh Wade from California, and he is the only person who's ever turned pro as a Masters to make a real impact in the open ranks. And he's been doing a hell of a job. He is currently the leader in point standings for the Mr. Olympia contest coming up in a couple months. Josh, thanks for joining us today.
Of course, Ron, my pleasure.
Okay, so before we get into all that, I always like the backstories. Everyone's got a story of how they got into this. So did you start weight training for football and then later got interested in bodybuilding?
You know, this is one story that I'm super proud of, and every interview I've ever done, I've always talked about this because I think there's a lot of people that can relate to my story. And this is how it started. Sure, I mean, I lifted weights and played football, but you know, I mean, I was at that time, I was a skinny white kid. You know, I didn't have maybe the best coordination, wasn't the fastest. So you know, I mean, I lifted weights a little bit for that, but because of my lack of self-confidence, I tried to fit in with the cool kids. By that, I mean the popular kids. So I would do something. I was a minority, and basically. When I went to high school, I was kind of minority in the area that I grew up as far as being a white kid. And so, like, I mean, I tried to fit in, and I wanted to fit in with the cool kids.
Was it Asian or Latin? What was the majority? I'm just curious in that area.
I mean, you know, most of it was kind of like African American and Asian, really, at that time.
Okay. And
so, like, I mean, I got in trouble to try to fit in with the cool kids, basically, and it was because of a lack of confidence. I was a follower trying to fit in, maybe trying not to get bullied. So, like, I mean, I'd get in fights, and I would do things as far as being a class clown. And, you know, I did things in high school that I'm not proud of. I did them to get noticed by what I thought was the cool kids, which is basically, you know, the wrong crowd. I was trying to fit in.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it led me into getting in a lot of trouble. I got in a lot of fights. You know, it took, you know, as a juvenile, I got in a lot of trouble, and you know, I would go to juvenile hall. My parents would pick me up, and you know, it was like no big deal. But then I got in a pretty good fight when I was 18 years old, and no more juvenile hall. That basically, you know, big boy jail at that time.
Yeah.
And so at 18, and it was just a pure fight. You know, I was looking for anybody. Somebody stepped on my shoes, I was going to fight him. I mean, I was a punk. I was a punk teenager. I will 100% admit that. And that's where weight training is what changed me. I got in a pretty severe fight, but after my juvenile fighting background, I got 12 months. I had to do 8 out of 12 months in county facility. And I got out of jail on my 19th birthday. This happened when I turned 18. And when I got out, I realized that's not what I want to do. And so immediately I joined Gold's Gym. And that's back in 1998. Wow. When Gold's Gym was Gold's Gym, when it was a serious gym. And, you know, you're training around a bunch of big guys, and they teach you courtesy and gym etiquette, and you know, you put your weights away, you help each other, there's a camaraderie. So once I got into that, my self-confidence started skyrocketing, and it wasn't cocky, it wasn't egotistical. It felt like a sense of self-accomplishment that I never got anywhere else until I started really seriously weight training. And that's what changed my life. That's why I think a lot of people relate to this story, because without weight training, who knows the path I would have been. I could have been in jail longer. I could have been killed, could have died, yeah. You know, because I was always trying to fit in. I didn't know what I was until I found weight training, and that became me, Ron.
Yeah. Now, there was a story, another interview, that there was a bodybuilder at that Gold's Gym who sort of, I couldn't quite catch the name, Faramaz or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the guy basically who really started it. Tell me about that.
Yeah, one of the first guys that I saw, super impressive. He lived down in the Bay Area. He moved up to the Sacramento area. And this is like, this is now early 2000s, and I've been training at Gold's Gym for a little while. And I saw some great bodybuilders. This guy, Faramaz Agazada. Farmers finished second to Phil Heath at the 2005 USAs.
Oh, wow.
And if, you know, again, if Phil wouldn't have been signed by Weeder after juniors, who knows? Because Farmars was significantly dominant from the front. Phil always had that back detail. So basically, yeah, Farmars got second at the 2005 USAs. This is the first guy that I was like wowed by. I want to look like that. That's what got me to the point where I was like, okay, I have a decent muscle structure now after training, you know, after training for about 6 years, really seriously. Yeah. So 2006 was my first competition, and Farmars decided he agreed to help me.
So what was
I
that?
followed him around the gym. I loaded his weight. I took it, you know, I mean, I just to try. It was the, you know, the information was to be around this guy, and this wasn't trying to fit in point, and so I would be willing to do those little things to get there. So he agreed to help me for my first competition, which was the Sacramento Bodybuilding Championships, November of 2006. And obviously he was a national level competitor. Right. So he got me ready for nationals as basically my first local show.
Wow.
And I'm talking 2 hours of cardio a day, hour and a half of weight training a day. You know, I started at 220 pounds. Yeah. I, in 15 weeks, got down to 173 pounds. Oof. Shredded. And I won the novice and the open middleweight class my first competition, and that's what got me hooked.
Now, people need to know, because, you know, if there's a title, hardest working man in bodybuilding, I think I'd probably nominate you, because you've always been a hard worker, but this blows mine. You were a plumber for, you said 10 years was how long you did that. You were doing that while you were getting ready for how many of your first shows? First few, imagine?
Really, basically, I think the first 5. Wow. 2006 was my first show, the Sacramento Bodybuilding Championships as a middleweight. Yeah. And I was a plumber, and I had, this is another thing that basically that, you know, that self-inflicted adversity that I had to overcome to get to the next level. It was actually, believe it or not, 5 weeks before my first competition, 15-week prep, 10 weeks into it, I'm carb restricted. First time I've ever dieted, ever done this much cardio. And again, I was a plumber. So I had a razor knife accident. I was basically, I was cutting a piece of PVC pipe with the razor knife, and it slipped off and severed the left tendon of my thumb.
Damn.
And this is 5 weeks before competition. I drove myself to the hospital, and basically because I had just eaten not too long before that, they couldn't do surgery that day. So they scheduled surgery for, this was a Friday, so they scheduled surgery for the Monday. And then the next day I was in the gym with reps doing what I could do, because I already signed up for the show. We already bought tickets for the show for the whole family, just dropped a bunch of money on that. And I'm not a quitter, I'm not a complainer. So I got in there and did it. And then had surgery the following week, and you know, I mean, I'm a first-time competitor, so the first thing I'm telling the doctor is I have a competition in 6 weeks.
He's like, no, you don't. Not anymore, you don't.
Yeah, he said basically you're not going to touch a weight for 6 weeks. Basically, they had to, you know, reattach the tendon. Yeah. And so I did not cheat on my diet once in the first 10 weeks, because I didn't know people cheated on their diets, to be honest with you, Ron, because I never have. Wow. So that night, completely discouraged, I left the hospital. My wife at the time, was in Las Vegas that weekend, so she was with a bunch of girlfriends. I was not going to tell her and ruin her weekend. So I thought I was done, right? I mean, I'm in a funk, I'm depressed, so I stopped by El Pollo Loco on my way home, because it's right by my house.
And it's delicious.
Got a burrito, nachos, a soda, you know. Yeah. I thought I was more. And this is what I said to myself: fuck that. I'm not done. So what did I do? I thought I could make up for my mistake as far as my food. So I did 2 hours continuous cardio that morning, went to the gym later again with wrist straps. And again, I pursued on. I couldn't lift heavy weights. I couldn't do a lot, but I was able to do stuff. It was just a left thumb, so I was able to press with machines and do stuff like that. Yeah. 5 weeks later, I won the novice and the open middleweight class in a really deep class. Back in 2006, as you know, bodybuilding was really prominent.
Definitely.
And I won based on condition.
Wow. Josh, you worked as a plumber while you're getting ready for your first show and for a few more shows, as you said. I've seen plumbers at work. It just seems like incredibly hard manual labor, getting in tight spaces and, you know, unscrewing these rusted out bolts and nuts. And we had a guy one time had to go in our crawl space and take out heaters and put heaters back in an area that was too small for really a human being to go. I mean, how did you do 8 or 10 hours of that every day on top of 2 hours of cardio and an hour and a half of training, all while probably eating like 100 grams of carbs for the whole day?
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, yeah, luckily my trade, I did mainly the rough plumbing portion of it. So we did the underground plumbing, interior walls. I didn't do the finish. I didn't have to get under cabinets or do that type of stuff.
Okay.
So most of it was new construction, so I had a little bit more room to work with.
Yeah.
But it's definitely still strenuous manual labor for sure.
Yeah.
But you know, kind of my mind is like, if I'm staying busy, my energy's fine. It's when I slow down that I get lazy. So I don't give myself that opportunity. I stay busy as long as I can. I keep moving. I don't sit down. I stand up on my feet all day still. And when I sit down at night, I crash.
Wow. So that first show, you won the novice overall. You won the open middleweight. Most people at their first show, they either say that was nice, a nice experience, but I don't need to do this again, or they're like, oh my God, I love that. I got to keep doing that. Clearly, you loved it. What was it about that day and that show that made you want to keep doing this and know that this was something you want to do for a long time?
You know, Ron, like I told you about, as far as basically, you know, my lack of confidence trying to fit in.
Yeah.
You know, when I found weight training, I severely loved it. I mean, it was just that sense of self-accomplishment that I'm just pushing myself. I'm trying to see what I can do, what I can become, what I can accomplish, how much weight can I lift. Like, you know, like all those things is what drove me. But this is how it started. And my wife loves this because I tell this story all the time.
Yeah.
When I was getting ready for my first competition, I told her, babe, I want to do at least one show, at least, remember this, Ron, okay? Yeah. She forgets this part. I want to do at least one show for pictures. Okay, I wanted to see what shape I can get in, right? I wanted to do it at least. This is remember this part, Ron. She forgets.
Yeah.
At least one show. At least that was said, but that was not remembered. So then I win the novice and the open, and I'm like, holy shit. Okay, maybe I can do something with this, right?
Yeah.
So then I had that thumb surgery, like I mentioned. You know, 5 weeks before my first show, I severed the tendon in my left thumb. Well, in 2007, I missed that whole competitive season with 3 more surgeries, a staph infection that basically deteriorated the tendon, that they had to basically cut out the staph. Got admitted into the hospital. You know, ended up with blood poisoning. Was close to dying, just based on blood poisoning from a staph infection that I got in the hospital. So those are all things. Those, again, that's a lot of that adversity that I went through that I think built my mind to the point where it's at now, where I feel like there's nothing that I can't overcome.
Yeah.
So once I got through all that, 2008, the Contra Costa Championships in the Bay Area in Hayward. 2008 was my second show, and that was the Contra.
Yep.
And when I started getting ready for that show, and again, she forgets this, and I told her, I was like, I want to do this show. But you said you're only doing it once. I said, no, babe, no. I said at least once.
At least. You got to read the fine print.
So, yeah, so that part, that's how it went. May of 2008, that was the Contra Costa.
Yep.
Then a couple weeks later, I jumped right into the California State Championships. I was 181 at Contra. I got third in the open light heavyweight at 181.
Yeah.
A couple weeks later, I was 184 at the California State Championships. So this is 2008.
Yep.
184 pounds. I got third in the open light heavyweight at the California State Championships at 184 pounds.
Wow.
Then I kept going, man. And again, I'm psyched up. I'm improving. So by the end of that year, October,
Yep.
so October of 2008 was the San Francisco Championships, also in Hayward. I weighed in at 198 pounds.
Wow.
So from May to October, I put on 14 pounds because, again, now I'm training like a bodybuilder. I'm eating like a bodybuilder. I'm making it my life because now I feel like there's somewhere to go.
So you made gains during prep, which a lot of people don't even believe is possible.
Which I'm still doing to this day, as you've seen.
Yeah.
You know, my physique has improved, and I'm gaining weight slowly from every show, but I'm really hardening. I'm a lot denser. My muscle volume is better. My detail is showing better. Like I did 5 shows last year, and I improved at every show.
Not only that, but I have to commend you because I don't know if I can even count on all 5 fingers the guys who are consistent, really consistent with conditioning at the pro level, even where you would think that's their job. You're a pro bodybuilder. You're supposed to show up shredded. That's the thing, but they don't always. They don't, and you're known. I've studied a lot of photos. I've never seen you anywhere near off. I believe you've always been stellar condition every show since like you started the national level. Am I right?
There was one show when Dante Trudell pointed this out at one time. There was basically only one time ever, and he made this post. Only one time ever has he seen me not in tip-top condition. And this is why 2011. I mean, we're jumping around a little bit, but 2011 was my first. 2011, I won the California State Championships now as a heavyweight.
Yeah.
And I was told by quite a few people, based on my hip structure, that I need to be a super heavyweight. If I'm a heavyweight, somebody's going to come in with a wispier waist and they're going to beat me.
Right.
And it happened to me over and over and over at the national level as a heavyweight. Mm. So 2011, after I won the California State Championships as a heavyweight, 6 weeks later, I went into the USA's and I weighed in at 228 pounds.
Wow.
And they asked me, hey, do you want to go make weight?
Right.
And I said, no, I need to be a super heavyweight, so I'm just going to go ahead and try it.
Yeah.
I got 5th that year, and I got 5th. That's the year Steve Kuklo won the overall.
Oh, wow.
And Sean Ray actually interviewed me for Muscular Development as the dark horse to crack the top 3. Because, again, I was virtually unknown 2011, but I show up in condition. And so because I was super heavyweight in 2011, when I came back to the USA's in 2012 at 236 pounds, I was off. I wanted to be a super heavyweight so bad that I sacrificed condition for size, and I would never let that happen again. And since then, it has not.
Okay, so your experiment as a super heavyweight didn't go as planned. After that, did you decide not to even try it anymore? I'm just going to come in peeled at 225 like I've been doing?
Yeah, kind of. That 2012 USA's definitely was a humbling experience. You know, when I got 5th in 2011, I dropped to 10th, I think it was, in 2012.
Yeah. And
I was working with George Farah at the time. And so we decided to go with 230 at the 2012 USA's.
Yeah.
Weighed in at 219 at the North Americans in August, 8 weeks later. Fucking shredded. I mean, absolutely by far the best condition I've ever been in.
Yeah.
After prejudging, everybody had me winning. I ended up getting 2nd that year to a guy named Joe Romine.
Oh yeah. That's right.
You know, that's the year Dallas McCarver won the super heavyweight and won the overall at North Americans.
Yeah.
And everybody had me winning after prejudging. I mean, I was shredded. So that's kind of, once I got to that point, I realized, okay, this is attainable for me. This is what I need to look like every time. And no matter what the scale says, no matter what, it's about how thin can I get my skin, and then how full can I be after. So this is the reason I've been successful, I believe, is because I wait to peak for a day. I'm ready for every show at least 2 weeks early. 2 weeks meaning I don't feel like I have any fat to go. So once I get that feeling with my body and I know what that feels like now, then my body starts revving and faster. And so basically within that 2 weeks where I thought I didn't have any fat left, come into show, I'm even leaner. And that's why I've improved from every show, because I don't have bingers. I don't binge after a competition. I'll get a Saturday night cheat meal after a show, Sunday morning breakfast, and then my wife prepares all my food. So I fly home every Sunday with my meals. I'm back on my diet that next day.
Wow.
and you know, and I've been doing it. I've been competing for 12 years, and I love it. I love the clean food. I love my food. I don't have any problem with it. So that's why I stay in great off-season shape. I keep my metabolism revved. My insulin sensitivity is crazy high, so I can ingest a lot of carbs during post prep. Is because I do stay lean and my body's healthy and it responds.
So you must go crazy when you're looking at Instagram, especially, and there's so many competitors who I don't even know why they got into this and why they compete, because all they ever do is post pictures of their cheat meals and all this disgusting food they're about to eat, and it's food porn, and these people have no discipline. They rely on other things to get them leaner because they want to keep eating their crap food. I mean, you talked about you didn't know that cheating on your diet was even a thing. I mean, did cheat meals even exist for you back in the early days? Do they exist now?
No, cheat meals never. I never had cheat meals when I was with George Favre for 3 years, and I had a cheat meal during a prep.
Wow.
Cheat meals were specifically for off season, and I got 2 cheat meals a week, normally before back or leg day. They were days that basically I need the extra calories for glycogen storage, for recovery. So again, for the last 12 years, I've been eating like a professional bodybuilder.
Wow.
Well, like what a professional bodybuilder should be eating.
Right.
And that's the life I enjoy. You know, do as I get deeper into prep after now this, I'm less than 2 weeks out from my 3rd show of this season. I did 5 last year. When I get closer to competition, sure, are there things that I want to break? I do. But once the time comes where I can have it, I don't want it. You know, it's just a sheer fact of the things that you know you can't have that you want. Right. But once you have them, I don't want them.
Isn't that the way it is?
So
it's exactly the mindset.
That's exactly my mindset. And again, I learned there's 2 people. 2 people were my idols. Jay Cutler, my wife got me before I ever started competing, Jay Cutler's book, CEO Muscle. Yeah. I read that thing until that book is shredded to this day. I read it over and over and over because everything I've read about Jay is exactly what I read in Dorian Yates' A Warrior's Tale book. Yeah. Exactly the same. And I have exactly that same tenacity, that attention to detail that I think, I didn't read this anywhere, but I think Jay got it from Dorian. Because the notes that they took about when they had bowel movements and when they went number 1, when they went number 2, I did all that stuff, Ron. I wrote all those notes. So I followed those 2 greats, and I know I get the Dorian comparisons now. Yeah. I followed those 2 greats. Jay Cutler is my idol. He is why I started bodybuilding. To be honest with you, when I saw him in magazines, and my wife bought me that book. The reason that I started competing. And I've told Jay that because now he knows who I am, but I'm still a fanboy. When he likes one of my Instagram posts, dude, I can't stop talking about it. It's unreal, but it's true.
No, I'm the same way, and I've known these people forever, but yeah, if like Flex Wheel leaves a comment on my picture, I'm like, oh boy. So 2014 USA, I love these stories about overcoming adversity, and you have even more adversities that you overcame. So what happened to you? What was going on with you while you were training for the 2014 USA?
So the 2014 USA's, I was having severe shoulder pain, and was waiting for an MRI to come that I didn't know if I wanted to actually find out even before the competition. So I had 2 cortisone shots in my right shoulder because I could not rise my arm without severe pain. So those basically, I had 2 cortisone shots getting ready for the 2014 USAs.
Yeah.
Then about 3 weeks before the USAs, I was doing lying dumbbell skull crushers and felt a tear in my left tricep. I knew the feeling. It was one of those things where it just, like, I mean, you think you can hear it, whether you feel it or hear it, not sure.
Yeah.
So basically I had a shoulder problem that I got cortisone shots for. Then I had this severe pain in my left elbow, didn't completely detach, but I got through the USAs. I got 4th that year. Then right after the show, they finally did an X-ray. My right shoulder had a bone spur that was tearing a hole in my labrum every time I moved my arm. That's what the cortisone shots were getting rid of the inflammation.
Yeah.
So that got fixed September of 2014. And then again, the referral process for basically our, great medical insurance.
Yeah.
I finally got in for referral for MRI. They did an MRI on my left elbow and I had an 1.5 inch tear in my tricep tendon. So March of 2015, they had to drill the bone and retie the tendon back to the bone with a suture and cause basically the bone bleeding to cause good scar tissue to try to hold it in place. So for about 9 out of 12 months, I didn't train at all, lost a lot of size, got really soft, not fat, but just soft.
Yeah.
And that's when I thought my competitive career was going to be over.
I'm sure. So what was it brought you back? How'd you come back from that?
This is again another true story that I've said on a couple interviews in the past. But there's a lot of good guys in our sport, people that just follow the sport. They're positive. If they have any constructive criticism, it's just a critique. It's not to be negative. It's to be helpful.
Right.
And 2 guys in particular. First guy, Dante Trudell.
Yep.
Dante reached out to me in 2015 after the national season. He reached out to me and via Facebook Messenger. I knew who Dante was through the magazines, through DC Training, through True Nutrition, through everything. Yeah. Had no idea he knew who I was. So I get this message, was like, hey, Josh, I didn't see you at the national scenes this year. Dusty Hanshaw and I have talked about repeatedly. You're one of the most underrated amateurs in the nation. Wow. You're so close to getting your pro card. I hope you didn't hang it up. That lit a fire under my ass to finish what I started. So immediately the next day, I called one person that I respect probably more than anybody in the industry based on his family values, based on his positive influence, John Meadows.
Yeah.
John Meadows, obviously, the 2012 North Americans, when I talked about everybody had me winning, I competed against John in the heavyweight class at that show. So John knew who I was. He saw my conditioning. A couple of years later, he talked to me and we started talking a little bit. And when I decided to make a comeback, there was only one person that I wanted to basically instill all my trust into and finish whatever I had in my career. And that was John Meadows. After I got that message from Dante Trudell, I reached out to him. And, when I talked to John said, well, I'm going to want to take over your training and your nutrition. I said, John, if I do this, I'm 100% with you. He said, let's go win Team U.
Nice.
That was September of 2015.
Yeah.
Is when I talked to John and he said, let's go win Team U. 9 months later, I became the 35-plus overall men's bodybuilding champion at Team Universe and earned my pro card 9 months after making that decision to go with John.
Wow. So you were 37 years old when you won your card, right?
Correct.
So, most guys, that's, careers are longer now and people don't retire as young as they used to, obviously, but still at 37 years old, you must have said, what did you say? I mean, I better not waste a minute. This is it. I don't have 20 years left of a career like some of these younger guys turning pro. What was going through your head when you got your card at age 37?
That's exactly it, Ron. And I was told by George Farr a long time ago when you're ready to be a pro, you'll turn pro. You know, I know you know George pretty well, and George believes in fate.
Yeah.
And so when the time came, I knew when I was on that stage that I was by far the best, and I knew I looked like a pro on an amateur stage.
Yeah.
So I was ready. I mean, at that point, I knew I was ready to be a pro. I didn't have time, like you said. I needed to stay relevant because the majority of people already wrote me off because I did turn pro as a master.
Yeah.
And so I jumped 6 weeks later straight into my pro debut, which was the Golden State Championships in Sacramento, California here.
Yeah.
Was August of 2016. I'm sorry. So I think that was 4 weeks later.
Yeah.
And
wow.
I got 5th in a pretty prestigious show. A lot of people had me placing even higher than that. Justin Compton won that year. And Justin was one of the people that also remembered me from the 2012 North Americans. And he told me at that show at the Golden State, or yeah, the Golden State, that August, my pro debut, he told me that a lot of people wrote me off because I turned pro as a master. But he said, I remember you back in 2012 and I knew you would do something. Again, these people that I look up to and admire in the sport, when they make these statements to me, it makes me feel good. I'm a fan of the sport to this day, Ron. So all those people that I admire, they make a positive comment, they make something to me, I don't forget it. I don't just let it go. I appreciate it. I remember it. And I use it because those are the things that I'm very prideful. Yeah. And I want people to know that I'm willing to work for anything I have. I was never given anything. Right. And again, that's a self-accomplishment that I could not reach anywhere else.
So I would imagine that you have a deeper appreciation for everything, for being a pro, for being up there than someone who was maybe, we got people 20, 21 years old turning pro on, like, they've been competing for a couple of years. They're already on like magazine covers when they're 21. They have supplement deals, and you've had to work a little longer and a lot longer and harder than a lot of these people who are hyped up and had very early success. So do you think that you definitely have that appreciation for every aspect of what you're doing now as a pro?
Yeah, 100%. The appreciation of knowing how far I've come. When I'm a realist. Sure, I have dreams like anybody else, but I'm a realist. Again, I knew I would end up turning pro, but I never thought I'd be a good pro, and that was the realness. But so I do appreciate everything. I appreciate everything that I've worked for, everything I've gotten, all the support behind me, my family, my friends. They've seen what I've gone through, and they've all basically been part of it. So I'm always appreciative. I reciprocate all the support that I get to everybody around me. I will never take anything for granted because it doesn't mean as much when you take things for granted. And I can truly appreciate everything that I've worked for, that people have helped me get. And I'll never forget that. I never forget that or never take things for granted because of that.
Cool. You inspire a lot of people because you don't have that comic book look of perfect genetics. Some of these guys look like they popped out of the womb, basically like that. Whereas you can tell it took you years of effort, a lot of heavy training, a lot went into what we're looking at right now. I'm going to ask you to rate your own genetics. So what do you think you were genetically blessed with? What qualities or muscle groups or anything that you think was a genetic gift? And what's been something that's been more of a challenge that you've had to sort of overcome?
As far as genetic structure, and obviously you've heard a lot of people that have talked about me talk about he doesn't have the best structure, but he outworks everybody. He comes in dry, grainy, nasty. So I get those acronyms: dry, grainy, nasty, not round muscle bellies, not pretty, not aesthetic. And so yes, it has been a lot of beating up my muscle tissue over the years to acquire the density that, especially the back detail, right? Back something that basically John Meadows calls white man's disease. We don't have those round muscle bellies that just have that aesthetic, that three-dimensional look. I now do. I have great back density, but again, that's years of beating it up and that's getting as thin as possible to show all the detail back. If I have any back fat, my back looks blurry, and I am completely going to be written off. And I know that. So as far as the genetic weaknesses I had to really improve back development for sure. Yeah. If you look at pictures like at the California State Championships, me next to Nathan Diashaw or me next to Lionel Bianchi, the only thing that you look at is there's three I see on myself. Hip structure. I can't narrow my waist out. People are like, oh, well, he's got a thick waist. No, I don't. I didn't balloon my waist out. I have wider hip structure. That's next to each other. Look at my hips. My legs are just as big, if not bigger, than most of those guys up there. But my hip structure is what is wider than a lot of the guys that are up there right now that are in the top of the structure league. Right. So that's one thing I notice. At 5'9", I have incredibly long arms for 5'9", and I have worked for years to bring up my arms to where they're symmetrical. Yeah. Still, they're a little behind. Yes, they are. But I am training them 3 times a week. I'm doing everything I can to get that development. That's my structural flaw number 2 that I see. Yeah. Number 3, and it's not really noticeable to people, I have a high vastus lateralis insertion. So I don't have my legs, my sweeps are good. Yeah. But my sweeps don't attach all the way down to the knee like a lot of these other guys do. So I've had to build density to overcome my structure. And I'm sure that you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I have to know because, you know, my arms are, everybody knows my arms are my my bane in life. So has the 3 times a week been helping? I need to know this. You got to tell me.
100%. 100%. I've been doing that since even in very, very small case. I've been doing that. I started right after New York this year. Yeah. I was training arms twice a week. But I'll tell you another thing that people are going to be blown away, especially when they see me in Vancouver and they see my conditioning. Yeah. I have not done – New York was May 19th. So I stopped cardio, give or take, May 16th. I have not done cardio since.
Wow.
But again, like I told you, when I get that lean and my metabolism starts going crazy, yeah. I keep clean to my food and I increase carbs just slightly, my body starts burning faster and faster and faster, and I get leaner without trying because, again, I don't have cheat meals. I don't have bingers. So my body starts burning faster. So all that time that I used to do before New York, I was doing 300 minutes of cardio a week, 6 50-minute sessions. Right. Now, my 5 a.m. where I normally would do cardio, now I have time to train arms. So I'm training triceps Monday morning at 5 a.m. and then legs Monday afternoon. Yeah. Tuesday morning, I'm training biceps at 5 a.m. Then I do chest and delts Tuesday afternoon. Wednesday, I have a 5 a.m. appointment, so I can't train Wednesday morning. So Wednesday's back and rear delts. Yeah. Thursday morning, Thursday morning, I have a 5 a.m. also, so I don't train Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon is arms. Yeah. Then Friday morning, I can't train in the morning, so I do my second leg day on Friday afternoon. Saturday morning, I do my another arm day, and then Saturday afternoon, I do my second back day. Sunday morning, I've been training delts and chest. So I've been training 7 days a week for probably the last 2.5 months, and for the last 4 weeks, I've been getting 10 weight training sessions in those 7 days. Yeah. Because I'm not doing cardio. So I'm actually getting a benefit from, anabolic response of muscle training. So my arms are developing, my legs are filling out further from not tearing them down on cardio. Yeah. But my weight training is getting any calorie expenditure, but also getting the anabolic benefit of it. So once I got this lean, this is something the first time I've ever done this since New York. Yeah. And it's working because I'm so lean, but I'm putting all that extra time into weight training sessions. I'm getting growth, but I'm also expending calories from it.
So this also means you've been in contest condition since a couple weeks before New York Pro. So what are we talking about? Almost 2 months now?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, that was May 19th. We're after June. So over 2 months. I have not gotten out of shape at all. I'm a few pounds heavier than I was at the Cal and at New York. And so basically I've been able to build muscle, and my skin is even thinner now, and you'll see when I come to my next show. So skin is thinner, I'm a few pounds heavier, so I've been able to build muscle staying this lean.
Now, I think I heard something where it said you have your own personal training studio and a nutrition store, right? It's called.
Yeah, it is a membership-based gym. Yeah. It's a private, exclusive member-based gym, based on accountability memberships and coaching type memberships. Yeah. So it's semi-private, semi-exclusive, but it is a membership-based gym. Personal training is where I make the majority of my money. I do have a supplement store inside the gym. So again, I'm here from 4:30 in the morning, normally to about 6 p.m. So I'm here 13 hours a day. And then I go home and I'm on daddy duty. I mean, I try to be the best father I can be. Yeah. And that might only be 2 hours a night until, Saturday I get off a little earlier. And Sunday mornings I come in and I do my weight training Sunday mornings at 6 a.m. so I can get out of here by 7:30 and normally be home before the kids even wake up. So Sunday's my family day. And I gotta train because I love to do it. And I want to be the best, but I'm not going to interfere with my family and try to come in the middle of the day on a Sunday. I want to be home as much as I can.
Yeah, tell me about that, because you're working all these crazy hours, and you do it so that your wife can stay home and take care of your son and daughter, right?
That's exactly right, Ron. For the last 7 years, I've been busting my ass to make sure that we're not living check to check like we did when we both worked before kids. We both worked and we were check to check. Yeah. I bust my ass even harder now to provide for my family. I want them to have things that I never had, and I'm willing to work for that. And again, I'm willing to put in the time. I reciprocate again all the support that I get from everybody. People will do a lot for me because they know I'll go above and beyond with what I can do. So yeah, I put in a lot of work hours Monday through Friday and a good portion of Saturday to be able to provide, to keep my wife at home, staying home, raising the kids, and provide a better life than we ever had when I was a plumber and when she worked inside sales jobs. I've recently, a couple years ago, purchased a better house in a better school district because my kids are going to be starting school. My daughter already started one of the top 10 schools in the state. It's a charter school. Wow. So yeah, I feel like everything I do is for my family, and bodybuilding is my passion, but it's not my job. My job is a family man. My passion is to see how far I can go in bodybuilding.
It's interesting, Meadows is someone you have a lot in common with John in that aspect too, because he's a great family man as well. And
exactly,
it can be a very selfish sport, and I've known a lot of guys who they won't even get into like real relationships because they don't want anything to get in the way of their own needs. They need to train, they need to diet, they need to do the cardio, whatever. What do you feel you would be missing out on if you didn't have your wife and kids? Because these
happiness.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. These guys it's not a balanced life, and you've got a balanced life. Tell
it's complete happiness, Ron. I love weight training, and I always have. Obviously, that's the reason I've got where I'm at. I love the competition aspect of it because I think the willpower and the mind strength that you have to have if you want to be the best and not cheat on your diet and stuff like that takes a tremendous amount of strength. But I would not be happy if I couldn't turn that off and go home and give my kids kisses and help my wife prepare their meals and get their bath ready. I would not have the happiness that I have and the appreciativeness that I have if I didn't have the people around me. It wouldn't mean as much to me because I wouldn't be able to share it. And my kids are now, my son turns 5 this Thursday. Yeah. My daughter is 6.5. And now they know what daddy does. And now it's making me more excited to see how far I can go, because now they're at an age where they can be at some of these shows, and I can't wipe the smile off my face when I see them in the audience, Ron.
Yeah. So we know you're the point leader for the Olympia so far, and you're doing Vancouver, based on the condition that you always bring, And I gotta hand it to the judges in New York, because they were guys with much prettier physiques than yours. I gotta be real, right? You know, big.
Yeah.
They had the round muscle bellies and a little wispy waist and everything, but you know what? They didn't bring the condition. And I was watching the judging. I'm up there in front, and I see them moving you up in the call-outs. I'm like, good, because this guy worked his ass off. Nobody gets into that kind of condition without a lot of work, a lot of suffering. Whereas these guys, it's obvious to me, either they didn't work hard enough, or they tried some weird last-minute dumb shit and blew out their condition. And I was happy to see the judges really do the right thing. It was high. I was afraid that, because I've seen it many times before, where the guys with the prettier physiques will be off, but they'll still get the higher placings because they have pretty physiques. And sometimes, you know, maybe it's who they are, the big names or whatever. That can certainly influence people at times too. But you know, you're consistent. You work hard. I love seeing that reward, and I think that's part of your appeal to a lot of people. Is a lot of the fans. It's a weird sport, because I don't think there's any other sport where the fans relate as personally to the athletes as bodybuilders do. Like, people watching the Super Bowl, I don't think they're thinking, wow, I'm just like that guy, number 43, the running back. But people relate to people that they think they have something in common with. And I think a lot of people see in you, you know, what they wish they could be, or qualities that they admire that they wish they could have more of, that hard work and dedication. I mean, have you noticed that you've gotten a lot more fan support over the last year as your placings have been going up?
Oh, 100%, Ron, and it's great. You know, and again, you're exactly right. Last year, I didn't have much of a name, but I showed up consistent and improved, and then I improved more and showed up inconsistent. So every show I started getting placed higher, and more people started talking about me, and more people started talking on the forums. Why isn't this guy getting placed higher? He's symmetrical. He's conditioned. You know, why isn't this happening? So I think that all is slightly relevant to the judges. And with my improvements last year, finishing the year at the Ferrigno third behind Brandon Curry and Cedric McMillan, I think that started getting people talking even more. So now my mind is like, okay, shit, I reached this level. If I don't come in New York, and Milos told me, if you shine on that New York stage, you'll shine anywhere. If I don't come in New York more improved, more conditioned, then they'll write me off as done.
Right.
So after New York, fan support tremendously increased. A lot of people started talking to me as the front runner for the Cow.
Yeah.
I show up in the Cow, even better conditioned. So yes, I've gotten a lot of fan support this year. I think I built my name last year, as I did every show, competitively, conditioned, improved on any weaknesses I had. My arms, my back tremendously improved last year.
Yeah.
So I think, yes, your fans, I have got a lot of fan support. People saying how much that I motivate them, I inspire them at my age, doing what I'm doing. But also, number one, and I'm most proud of this, most of the comments I've been getting, direct messages on Instagram, et cetera, people that have heard my interviews or talked or have heard anything about me, is how they respect me as a family man.
Yeah.
They respect that I can do this. I don't just sit on my ass and train and eat. No, I work my ass off all day. I put my family first, and then I do what I need to do to be the best bodybuilder I can be.
Yeah. No, it's a great example. I mean, you probably don't see yourself as a role model, but that makes you a role model, because this sport has such a reputation for. It's hard to put lazy and bodybuilder in the same sentence, but a lot of these guys outside of the training, they don't want to do a damn thing. You know, they don't want to do anything. Feed me, put me on the couch with my Netflix or my PS4 or whatever, and I'm good until the next workout. But you know, you're showing that you can live a real life, a balanced life, and still do very well as a bodybuilder. You know, you're so many things you're proving can be done. Just the fact that you're the turned pro as a masters and you're doing so well in the open through sheer willpower and hard work. I mean, come on, dude. You're doing great. Josh, tell me, you've been compared to Dorian Yates. When did that start? How did that start?
I think the first time I remember was kind of right after I turned pro, and John Meadows posted the first picture of me doing a front lat spread.
With your head like this.
I didn't do that, Ron.
Oh, no.
I didn't do that till this year. It just was sheer fact, the chest striations, the dry, grainy texture, and obviously, as you can kind of see, the diet face.
Right.
When I started getting the wrinkles, my hairline looks like Dorian, my nose looks like Dorian from the side.
Yeah.
So I had the facial features, and then the dry, grainy body type and the density of the muscle started showing. So it's only been basically the last year and a half. And then everybody's starting to see the comparisons. And so now I'm playing on it. For the first time ever at the Cal, I did the Dorian side tricep pose. I did the Dorian front lat spread, look to the side. And those poses, those two poses have become everybody's favorite poses with me now.
I like that lat spread with the head turn. That's my favorite one for you.
Yeah. So that's how that started.
Okay. So, Josh, in addition to training people and all that, you also prep people for shows, right?
I do right now. I'm not taking any more. I'm really busy locally, and I don't really like to get into a lot of the online coaching, to be honest. I like the more personalization I can get with people in person. And again, not that I don't want to have more objects, but I would rather be happy than rich. I feel successful with everything I have in my life, and I am not going to do any more than I have to do to provide for my family. I don't want to take any more time away, and I don't have the necessity to do it. I am providing a pretty good life for my family, and I don't want to take any more time. I'm really busy, so I'm not really taking any more coaching clients right now. I don't need to, and nor do I want to take the limited time I have left away from my family to provide or to get more than I actually need. So this is not being lazy, because I am a hard worker.
I would.
But I don't feel the necessity. And again, I would rather be happy than rich. And right now, I'm very happy, Ron.
Excellent. We have a lot in common, Josh. I don't know if you realize that. I have, if I could articulate the same thing, I just would have put it almost the same way you just did exactly. My kids are older now. They're almost 19 and 24. But I always wanted to have that time with them. I didn't want to be that dad that was always away and kids barely knew him. And they had nice things, but dad's like a stranger. That's no way. That's not parenting to me. Just 'cause.
And Ron, you talked about balance just a few minutes ago, and I want to touch on that real quick before we do get out of here. Balance. Okay, so I need to eat like a bodybuilder. I need to train like a bodybuilder, but I will not miss a soccer game. I will not miss going to the park. I will not miss going to the movies with my kids. So I bring my meals. I take my meals with me to the park. We play. I eat my meal when it's time for me to eat my meal. I go back to play. I do the same thing at the house, riding bikes in the front of the house. Whatever it is, I do what I need to do because I know what I need to do. But I will never let anybody get my decisions and my choices. I don't want anybody to suffer for those.
Great attitude, man. Great attitude.
And that's my key to balance, is knowing I need to do what I need to do, but not letting it affect anybody else in a negative way, if that makes sense.
It does, for sure. So we're about a week and a half away from Vancouver now, right? 10 days? Is that what it is?
That's right.
That's what it is. So you're already in shape, so no worries there. It's not that far of a flight from Sacramento, I don't think, right?
No, it's 2 hours and 11 minutes.
So you got to be looking forward to this. This is the last one till the Olympia for you, right?
That's correct. And, Ron, I turned the big 39 this Saturday.
The big 39.
The big 39. So, obviously, 40 is a number, but I have not had a birthday in probably 9 years because I've always gotten ready for the USAs. Everything I've dieted through. June 30th is my birthday, and I've always dieted through that. So July 8th, when I return home from Vancouver, my wife, we have a pool that's going to be done this week.
Oh, wow.
And so my wife is throwing me a birthday party / celebration party of Vancouver, celebration of pretty much believe I'm going to be making that Olympia.
Yeah.
So I am going to have a celebration party on July 8th. And I will have a day off, Ron.
I hope you eat whatever the hell you want that day, Josh. Please.
Yes.
You know what?
I already have dibs
have a beer.
on something I have not had for probably 9 years. Wow. A mint chocolate chip ice cream cake. I used to have it every year for my birthday, and it's been that long.
Yeah. Wow, right on. And will you have an adult beverage or two, perhaps?
You know, it's funny because people look, I'm a big guy, right? If I want to drink, it's got to be fruity and blended. So I mean, you know, people make fun of me, but they don't really make fun of me because obviously I'm bigger than them.
Right.
But still, I mean, I'm pretty sure that people are bringing me strawberry margaritas.
Okay. I'm a martini man, but margaritas, a little sour for my taste, but you do your thing.
It's got to be sweet. It's got to be sweet. Strawberry blended margaritas. It's got to be a sugary drink.
Right on. Well, it's hot in California. So, you know, you're not at the Olympia yet, but I mean, you already got to start. I'm sure in your head you're already thinking about it and imagining that weekend and how cool it's going to be, right?
Oh man, it's a dream. It's a dream. It's the pinnacle of bodybuilding. We all know that. Yeah. It's a level that I never thought I would reach, and that's why I'm so appreciative, because my second full season as a pro, and you know, I don't ever want to speak not seeming humble, but I don't think there's any way that I will not make the Olympia.
Right. I mean, you're doing pretty well. Unless you get struck by lightning or something, I think you're good to go. So that's it. I mean, you're headed to your first Olympia, most likely. Let's just say it. And you know, you've done so well in the past couple seasons. And again, I just want to congratulate you, because I love to see people that work hard and overcome obstacles and sacrifice. And you're all those things. You embody everything that we like. As a writer, I want to write about people. I want to talk about people like you, because I think that inspires the common man that this is attainable. You can be balanced. You can work hard and provide for your family. You can do all these things. You can still be a bodybuilding champion.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So thank you for showing people that example. Even though you're not trying to be a role model intentionally. Like I said, you are a role model.
I want to be a positive individual that people can look up to, but more than anybody else, I want my kids to remember what their daddy was remembered for, and maybe not being the best bodybuilder, but being a positive role model, being somebody that people aspired to be, based on positivity and trying to help others. Yeah. And so, yes, I do want to be a role model. I want to be a role model for my kids. Yeah. But anybody else that I can help along the way is just icing on the cake. It's just basically self-gratification that I know I'm doing right.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. You're working long, long days. You took the time out to do this, so thank you so much. Wishing you the best of luck in Vancouver. And then a few weeks later, Las Vegas. It's going to be a good time. We're going to definitely see you there. So, Josh.
For sure, Ron.
Thank you so much. Everybody out there, thanks for watching the Ronline Report. It's been Ron with Josh Wade.